In this lecture, we are going to restore the asynchronous functionality as well, because right now you see that if I click here on the user, then it does change, but it changes immediately. Now here on the official site of Redux Toolkit, it says that when you use the configure store, then it actually does the combined reducers job. That means the slices are combined by the configure store. It creates the store, and not only that, it adds the Redux middleware you supply, and also it includes Redux Thunk. This means certainly I can configure other middlewares, and we will see that as and when required. But at the moment, I just want to show you that we do not even need to configure the Redux Thunk. You just use the configure store to create the store, and it does the job. How? Let's see this. I'll just go to the coding now. The very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use this validate user itself. This is the one which we tried earlier. So here what I will do, here I will import the user login, which is actually part of the login slice, and this I'm going to call here. So instead of this dispatch, now I'm going to say dispatch here the user login, and I'm going to pass the login details. Now earlier we needed the thunk, otherwise this dispatch was not available. But now I'm going to remove thunk, and you will see that still it is working fine. Just because you use the configure store of Redux Toolkit, you do not need to configure thunk separately. Let me also go to the login.js. Now here I won't be using this user login, because this I'm going to call from the actions.js, and I'm going to import again the validate user which was there earlier. So validate user will be called. That means I'm not going to use this dispatch now. Again, I will write the dispatch with validate user, and I'm going to pass the login details. So this is how we are going to call the validate user function. The validate user function is inside the actions.js. So here after 2 seconds it's going to dispatch, and it's going to call the user login. So it will go to the login slice, and this function will be called, and the state will be changed. Now I also want to show you that inside the index.js, when you configure the store, we do not have any middleware configured here, though you have a middleware property, and as we proceed in the future sessions we will see that. But at the moment I'm just going to remove this thunk. That means now there is no middleware existing like thunk, so the dispatch object should not be available. But as I mentioned, as the official site says, that configure store does include the Redux Thunk itself. So this is it, and our application should run with the asynchronous process once again. So I'll just refresh it. If I click here, let's say manager, and there you are. So after 2 seconds it does change the username. Rest of the functionalities are also working as expected, so nothing is changed as such. Now you can say that the application we had with Redux, that is being converted into the Redux Toolkit. Though in the Redux Toolkit there are many other ways to implement asynchronous processes and middleware, and as I mentioned, in future sessions we are going to incorporate this as well. So one question I would like to raise here is that, do you need to import thunk if you are using the configure store method to create the store? So the answer is of course not. So basically you do not need to combine the reducers when you are using the configure store, and you don't even need the Redux Thunk to implement, because it is enabled and the dispatch object will be available with the configure store itself.